Hey guys, Jack and welcome back. And while I didn't upload a video about it, I do want to talk about the big news that Jurgen Klopp is set to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. So let's just talk about it. Impact he's had at Liverpool, having joined in October 2015 after Brendan Rodgers was sacked. He led them to a Europa League final, which unfortunately they lost. But from that stage, he looked to build on from that. We've seen how Liverpool have transformed under him. We saw the likes of Firmino, Salah, and Mane become this unbelievable trio, the most potent trio in world football. We saw the likes of Alisson come in and establish himself as the best goalkeeper in the world. Virgil van Dijk, the same as central defender. And it's been an incredible journey for Liverpool. And what's been really interesting is that they've been constantly fighting for top spot. Obviously, they've had a couple of seasons where they struggled, particularly last season and 2021, where they just circumstances kind of faltered with them. I mean, they obviously had during the 2021 season they had a lot of injuries, including Van Dijk, who was out for a year, and he's come back from an ACL injury. I think it's really fascinating seeing how Jurgen Klopp, as we've seen with his time at Mainz and Dortmund, that after 7 years he struggled to kind of rebuild into a new generation. And while we all kind of believed that was going to be the case, last year, kind of given how everything was happening, towards the end of the season, things started to change. He adapted his style, and given the players that he had, he was able to, recover and get them up to, qualify for the Europa League. And this season, I understand that a lot of the business has been done through the ownership and people around, like the different scouting departments. It's still incredible how this year would have been a season of transition, but instead they've been thriving and they're top of the table. I think this is just a credit to Jurgen Klopp as a person, and Jurgen Klopp is the epitome of kind of a great manager. He seems very empathetic, he seems very genuine, and he's very emotive. You see the passion that he has for every single game. And I remember watching Matchday, and it was Norwich versus Liverpool. I was talking to a friend about this. Lallana and Milner scored the last two goals, and then the last one, Lallana scored. I think it was to seal the draw or seal the win, and he rips off his shirt and runs straight to Jurgen Klopp. And this, he hasn't been in the job he's only been in the job a few months, and they're all going over to him, piling in on him, and he loses his glasses. I think they break then when he finds them, and just shows kind of how close he got to those players in such a short period of time. And I think that just kind of stands to what Jurgen Klopp is. He is, he's an incredible man, and the fact that he has brought Liverpool from being, back at the days of Paisley, going through a bit of a doldrum period when the Premier League was established, obviously not winning the league for the club, not winning the league for 30 years, to bring him up through, 3 Champions League finals, winning one of them, and winning the Premier League against this Man City team. It is truly incredible. And it's sad that it's going to be coming to an end at the end of the season, but I think it's the best way for him to have gone, not in terms of how it happened in Dortmund, where he was never going to be sacked, but it was almost like he needed to just leave just to save them from doing such a thing. And I think with them still being in all competitions so far, there's every chance they could win a quadruple. It's very unlikely because of just the magnitude of it. But we've been seeing from the first half of the season that they definitely have the chance here. And with the quality of the squad he has and the way he has them playing, there's no doubt that they're gonna have a chance here, and they're gonna have a chance to play against a big team this week, against Chelsea, who have picked up a bit of form now in recent weeks. Obviously, Cole Palmer has been instrumental in that. He was a huge part of their 6-1 win over Middlesbrough. But the thing is with Chelsea, you don't know what will happen, and with the transfer window still going on and deadline day they're playing on deadline day. It's we don't know what could happen with the likes of Armando Broja, Conor Gallagher in particular, and it's just mad to imagine just kind of what's going to happen in this game. And the issue is with this fixture is that it's always been a dull draw, like we saw at the start of the season. It was just awful. But I think this is going to change here. And I think with it being the first Premier League match since the announcement, I think Liverpool and Anfield, and I saw it in the Norwich game, they are just going to be they're going to be cheering on from this moment until the very end, when hopefully they are, for their sake, they are in all cup finals, and it would be quite poetic if they win the Europa League. But going on with this weekend, or this match week, I think Liverpool have a great chance here. And even though Mohamed Salah is out, Egypt are out of the AFCON, so like at least he'll be back, and at least this time he'll be able to sit and recuperate. He doesn't have to worry about kind of travelling back out to Cote d'Ivoire. And Liverpool have pretty much have a full squad. Chelsea are obviously missing Nicholas Jackson, but otherwise they kind of, both teams have full squad. Chelsea with more injuries, but I think just with how Liverpool have been, and when you have the likes of Darwin Nunez, Jota, and Szoboszlai, and just all these quality players, I just don't think Chelsea have a chance here. So at Anfield, I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Liverpool. Now after that, I'm going to quickly run through the rest of these fixtures, because I just spent too much time with Liverpool. First up, we're going to be talking about Spurs and Brentford. Spurs are missing a few key players, Sarr, Basuma, and Son, but we saw how Timo Werner seems to be bedding in quite well. Brennan Johnson obviously is very dangerous, but his final product needs to be worked on. As Kulusevski has been one of the best players, for the squad, and with James Maddison set to potentially join up, I think it's going to be huge. And unfortunately, they obviously lost to Man City in the cup. I think you saw that they played reasonably well, and they'd be very disappointed for how that ended. But I think they're going to have a difficult task here against Brentford. And while Brentford are also missing a lot of big players, through injury and obviously international games, they have Ivan Toney back, and I think that was huge for them to get a result against Nottingham Forest. And I think this could potentially be an exciting game, because Tottenham has shown to be a bit vulnerable from set pieces, as we saw in the FA Cup, and Brentford have struggled to keep out goals. I mean, I know there's a few of them were lucky from Nottingham Forest, but they definitely they're a bit cheap in the chances they conceded. And I think Thomas Frank is really either going to have to really shut up shop in if he wants to get a result here. But I think with Ivan Toney and a few runners around them, they could cause a bit of damage. I think without Son, they're going to struggle. But with this game, I'm going to go with a 3-3 draw. Before I would say that Arsenal would have a pretty much comfortable game here, but against Nuno Espirito Santo and how he's done against Arsenal, I think there could be a bit of difficulty here. But I think what's going to be in Arsenal's favour is that they're not missing as many key players. I mean, looking at the list here for Forest, they're missing Aurier Bowley, Ola Aina, Kouyaté, Sangare, and Niakate, and that's just through AFCON and the Asian Cup. I think with Arsenal's and their front line, and given just how well they played against Palace, I think they're going to have a bit more fun here. Granted, they're not. I don't think they're going to be as clinical as they were, because I say Forest was set up very deep despite them being at home. And Nuno is shown to be a really capable defensive coach, pragmatic coach, and with a few potential signings coming in, they could have reinforced by the time this match plays. But considering it's only going to be tomorrow as I'm recording this, I highly doubt it. I think what's going to be crucial for Arsenal is that they need to just put as much pressure on early on and just press them and pin them to their own half. And while I do say it's going to be they're going to have difficulty breaking them down, I think it's going to be a 2-1 win to Arsenal. Manchester United struggled against Newport County, and while they were two great, like one stunning goal and one just good movement, it wasn't as kind of clinical as you would expect from a Premier League side playing a League 2 team, especially given the profile of Man United and Newport County. But they just struggled a lot, and I think this is going to be very much an issue for Ten Hag. And given what's happened with Marcus Rashford and his disciplinary, given being over at Belfast, I think they are going to need him, but I don't think it's going to be appropriate if he starts. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts on the bench in this game. And Wolves, while they had huge controversy surrounding the Midlands derby against West Brom, those actions from those fans, they aren't fans, and the fact that they've attacked the families of the players is just wretched. But going back to this, Wolves have been in great form. Pedro Neto is just he's back and he looks fit, and I think it's going to be crucial for him. And Matheus Cunha has been in incredible form. as kind of playing as a second striker, and with Neto is kind of drifting into that position as a number 9, it could be really costly for United. And we saw what happened with Anthony and Garnacho struggling to break down a League 2 team. How are they going to do against this Wolves team who have shown under Gary O'Neill to be incredibly disciplined? I think this could be a very difficult tie for United, and I think it could be a shock 2-1 win to Wolves. Some good news and bad news for Newcastle's midfield. Although Lewis Miley signed a new deal, keeping the academy player at the club, Joe Linton looks set to be out for pretty much the rest of the season, and that's a huge blow considering how much work he puts in the midfield as a destroyer. And Newcastle really need to find someone to kind of fill in that role, but unfortunately, given the FFP or the PSR rules, they can't do anything. They don't have the financial power to do anything at this stage, and it's going to be really difficult for them here. And away from home at Aston Villa, I think this is going to be a very tricky game. I mean, Villa have shown to be really capable, and although they picked up a draw against Chelsea in the FA Cup, like, they still have a lot. They didn't play all their top players, and I think given just how Unai Emery wants to show how his team is, and especially being in the league, I think they're just going to outrun Newcastle. And while Alexander Isak is fit, I just don't think himself and Gordon are going to have enough chances, enough opportunities to break through their high line. And even if they do, they're going to be caught offside. I think this is going to be a very difficult time for Newcastle, and they're going to be defending all game. So I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Aston Villa. I think this could be a really interesting tie. Luton have shown to really frustrate the likes of Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal. And, because of just how physical they can be and just how well they played. I mean, Ross Barkley, as we said, has been in great form. Alfie Doty at left back has been really good, and the forwards have just been really just frustrating. So I think Lewis Dunk will probably relish it, but will Van Hecke enjoy that kind of physical battle? We'll have to kind of wait and see. But we see, like, despite Brighton having a few players out, I mean, Adingra has struggled in AFCON, and Matoma is still kind of fit in bits with an ankle injury, but they're both going to be missing. I think this could be a high scoring game, and I think it will be a very exciting game. I think just given the quality of Brighton, I think this could be a 3-2 win to Brighton. Despite being a bit of a tricky run of form, Fulham have shown to put in really good performances that probably deserve a few more points or a few more victories. And they have, like, despite losing the likes of Iwobi and Calvin Bassey, they look quite secure, especially in the back. I mean, it looks like Diop and Adarabioyo have just been really solid at the back line, and when you have the likes of Castagne and Jedi Robinson out in the wing backs, like, they're really good going forward. And I think it's going to be a very difficult tie for Everton, who are going to be visiting. I think they're going to have to play transitional play and play for set pieces. It's going to be very difficult for them. I could imagine the likes of Harrison and McNeil needing to kind of be outlets, and Calvert-Lewin, if he is fit, to just facilitate them. I think this could be a very dogged game. I think it'll just be very tricky. Obviously, Fulham, like, Raul Jimenez's form has kind of dipped in recent weeks, but I think he could prove to be vital in this game, considering that Pereira and Harry Wilson haven't been the most potent going forward. But I think Fulham just have enough to scrape a 1-0 win. I think this game is going to be crucial for Roy Hodgson to potentially keep his job. I don't know what the story is with who could replace him. Apparently Steve Cooper could be in line. But looking against Sheffield United, they need to pick up 3 points. Obviously, Sheffield United need to kind of push themselves out of the relegation zone, but Palace need to just kind of avoid a relegation battle. Like, they've done that for the last couple of years. But after the protests in their last match against Arsenal, they need to just create a bit more of a positive atmosphere, and they're going to be at home. And I just think with how Sheffield United have just seemed to have been playing a bit better, and just how the lack of potency for Palace's attack, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw, and I think it could spell the end for Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace. I think West Ham have played a blinder here, signing Calvin Phillips on loan for the rest of the season. Having not played for Man City at all, given his style, given his play style of being able to take the ball, from the defense and just playing long balls and just hitting them on transition, I just don't. That was never going to suit Man City, and I think if they probably thought he was going to adapt to that, but that clearly wasn't the case. But I think with the likes of Jarbon and Mohamed Kudus, Kudus being potentially back, they have a really good signing on their hands. But when we're talking about this match, I think it's going to be tricky because Bournemouth have been in incredible form, but they have lost Ouattara, to Napoli on loan. But they still have a lot of good quality players. I think this could be they're going to cancel each other out in terms of how they're going to play. I could see Bournemouth picking up a result here, picking up a win, but just my heart says it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Last up is Man City versus Burnley, and at the start of the season I thought Burnley played really well, and I was saying, oh, they're gonna just be very safe, and they look really good, but that just hasn't been the case. Despite even everything having a points deduction, they've just struggled immensely to even get out of relegation zone, and I don't think this is going to get any easier. Man City have, got a big win against Spurs during the week, but they just they weren't a kind of a full pelt. And I think this is going to be a time where they're just going to rack up a few goals, get the goal difference up a bit. I mean, Julian Alvarez hasn't been in the best of form, but Holland looks set to come back this week, and De Bruyne has just been fit. And I would be surprised if he comes off the bench and causes a couple of issues. Oscar Bob as well. I feel like he'll contribute in this game in some way, whether it's a goal or assist or winning a penalty. I think this is going to be a comprehensive win for City. I'm going to go with a 4-0 win. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Until next time, take care.